Hey there, fellow wanderers. The air is crisp, nipping at your nose, as you stand in the midst of a sprawling, bleak landscape where the sky and earth seem to conspire in shades of grey. The wind whispers secrets carried across generations, rustling through the lined coats of huddled figures moving through the streets. The scent of coal smoke curls into your nostrils, mingling with the promise of endless possibilities and the stark realities of what life was like under the Soviet regime. This is not a fairy tale of gilded palaces and luxurious living. Instead, steel your senses for an exploration of a world both distant and intimately human, where the struggle for survival turned simple daily routines into complex narratives. So, before we dive deeper, I ask only this. If this kind of raw, unvarnished truth speaks to you, click like, hit subscribe, and leave a trace of yourself in the comments. Tell me your city, your time, your state of mind. Now, dim the lights. Let the hum of your fan blend with the wind of centuries past. Close your eyes and travel back to a time when the very notion of survival was a luxury. Let's begin. As you mentally place yourself around the mid-20th century, you find yourself in the throes of the Soviet Union, a vast empire stretching across Eastern Europe to Asia, a powerful enigma wrapped in the cold embrace of communism. You wander through an era where the prized nature of collectivism is not just theory, but a way of life that infiltrates every corner of daily existence. Close your eyes a little tighter and see the endless lines of people snaking through city streets, waiting patiently for the hopes of bread or perhaps a rare treat of butter. In this realm, standing in queues is as much a cultural pastime as catching up on the latest celebrity gossip might be today. Each queue is filled with hopeful whispers and tired gestures, echoing tales of shortages and surplus alike. A distant rumble fills your ears, the grinding sound of steel against steel, as industry marks its territory amidst the Soviet landscape. The factories are alive with the pulse of efficiency, workers moving like clockwork within the state's grand experiment of economic dictatorship. Even here, in the heart of production, every product is both a triumph and a scarcity, a victory and a reminder of the system's inherent contradictions. Historians still argue whether the Soviet way truly favored the workers or simply used their strength to keep the nation in perpetual motion. Whatever the truth, you feel the palpable weight of expectation resting heavily on the shoulders of the Soviet people. And just as you might find yourself in awe or disbelief, an unexpected image invites your attention. Communal living spaces. From cityscapes dotted with towering apartment blocks to far-flung rural locales, these shared spaces are microcosms of Soviet life. Apartments take on lives of their own, filled with the sound of clanking pots and hushed conversations over drafty hallways. Here, privacy becomes a relic of the past, fostering relationships of necessity and occasional grudging respecter, disdain for the overly enthusiastic accordion player next door. In the midst of this grey vastness, your senses seize upon a peculiar whimsy. Remember the crocodile dung sunscreen of old? Well, imagine a world where ingenuity is pressed into service at every turn. The kitchen becomes a magician's workshop. Recipes are adapted on the fly, flavors conjectured out of binding constraints, and meals stretched to feed unexpected guests with gracious hospitality. As you glide further into this Soviet world, the societal demands on individuals come into sharp relief. Proper conduct is not merely encouraged, it is enforced, with a watchful eye ensuring compliance. Neighborhood committees, you whisper to yourself, once a term as familiar to the Soviet citizen as postmen today, acting as both welfare overseers and unwelcome guardians, ensuring ideological purity. Take a moment to envision education as both a gift and a charge, a strict indoctrination into both academic rigor and the socialist ideals that permeate through textbooks and morning lectures. Young minds learn their roles early on, maintaining the delicate art of appeasing authority while exploring personal identity within the confines of state-directed narratives. The lively life of streets remains imprinted in your senses. The smell of freshly carved wood, mingling with the sweet tang of petrol from old buses that trundle slowly along their routes. This is a living museum where every turn offers a glimpse into the past, wrapped in the intangible robe of human stories crafted from the material of necessity and challenge. As your mind drifts in this imaginal landscape, remember that this journey is not merely about understanding a bygone geopolitical construct, but appreciating the resilience of the human spirit. The people navigated their existence with tenacity, humor, and a dash of grumbling desire etched in their hearts for small joys amidst the towering scaffolds of a state-designed reality. And as you settle into this rhythm, take solace in the understanding that each voice you encounter, each story you absorb, adds its unique echo to the collective memory of what it truly meant to live in the Soviet Union. You trudge slowly along an infinite horizon, the Iron Curtain, an evocative phrase that looms heavy in the minds of millions. Imagine not just a barrier of ideological differences, but a tangible, all-encompassing boundary that drapes over nations like an oppressive cloak. Its presence divides not only countries, but families, ideas, and even dreams. In this world, everyday existence is defined by limitations and expectations emanating from this figurative iron. You glance around, meeting eyes that are weary yet resilient, touched by the unyielding demands of state-controlled media and propagandized reality. The newspapers you pick up bear not just ink and paper, but the weight of selective truth designed to craft a cohesive narrative approved by the powers that be. Closing your eyes, you might try to fathom a morning ritual that begins with a stern voice on the radio announcing achievements flavored with ideology. The news is carefully curated, the optimism like off-brand cola, slightly watery, but all you've got. You let out a gentle sigh, recalling the irony in expecting change when every detail is painstakingly orchestrated to remain the same. This, you realize, is a life lived under the Soviet umbrella, where unpredictability is masked as stability. As you stroll through this regimented landscape, the austere presence of the Iron Curtain casts a shadow over cultural and personal exchanges. Even the music flowing through battered gramophones carries echoes of censorship and eerie symphony, missing notes that might have threatened the status quo. Though harmony appears, the notes of dissent are forever muted. Yet, peek behind those meticulous Soviet facades, and you'll discover a different melody, a culture secretly thriving within the cracks of conformity. This is where creativity finds unorthodox allies, as citizens cleverly subvert limitations. The underground thrives on whispers and shadow samizdat publications, spreading whispers of defiance through the careful passage of clandestinely copied manuscripts. Imagine, if you dare, the unique thrill of illicit literary circles stoking fires of intellectual rebellion beneath a seemingly docile surface. Historians still argue whether the Iron Curtain's psychological impact ingrained a sense of resilience or resignation in its citizens. Let's be honest, a debate. Researched probably even on Sundays ensconced in Browning bibliographies and outdated microfiche slides, the arguments hang thick in academic air. Regardless, the horror and majesty of human adaptability continue to shape discussions like soap in a dormitoria, slippery notion, just when you think you've understood it. With a silent chuckle, self-aware of the paradoxes inherent in daily Soviet life, you tread further. The cloak of control that covers everything can't smother the mischievous glint of spontaneous human ingenuity taking on unlikely forms. Picture babushkas whispering tales of wartime bravery, alongside tales about how many lines they had to stand in for potatoes last week, all over shared cups of chicory masked as coffee. The clank of unseen mechanisms part restraint, part routine marginally erodes your sense of time. Yet, squint a little harder, and you'll notice the telltale signs of a transforming society under this iron grip. Take, for instance, the informal economies forming at the peripheries. Picture a world where bartering personal goods, jeans, bananas, currency feeds the complex dance of practicality and ambition. The ultimate irony of grappling with a grey market kaleidoscope amidst state-run supplies. That vision slips almost as easily as you into the practical choreography of navigating daily commutes. The morning crush of clattering trams whisk you through an urban symphony, the leitmotif of creaking iron and grit. It's a song that might otherwise be mundane, saved only by the orchestration of shared scrum. Yet every ticket, bought or bartered, reminds you of the situational resilience framing this life. Drifting across these thoughts like scattered sand, you trace their influence back to an instinctive improvisation weaving through Soviet routines. The Iron Curtain's metaphorical attire drapes over cultural exchanges, shaping an era's distinct attire, elusive fragrance, and the ironclad hands determining the past from potential futures. Envision dinner tables surrounded by stories of victory, hardship, and hope. They become altars of tradition, wrapped with enough intrigue to stitch together childhood memories and revolutionary discourses alike, standing in stark contrast to the rigid outlines imposed on dreams. So, as you contemplate this journey, let the paradoxical dance of adaptability and rigidity guide a world once demarked by the Iron Curtain's depending angles. In this realm where ingenuity and orchestra skip on strings, every whisper carries with it the promise of possibility. You let out a knowing smile, your senses gradually surrendering to the rhythm of Soviet life, etched into both aspiration and doubt. An era submerged in contradictions, yet suffused with shared human stories. Tangible reminders telling tales of velvet traditions beneath seemingly iron skins. A gentle prod at the corners of a tightly secured realitia, testament perhaps to the enduring resilience embedded within the most mundane of Soviet day, calmly bids you to ponder on the legacies that still breathe in millennia past. You step into the vast industrial heart of the Soviet Union, where factories rise like monolithic sentinels against the skyline, casting shadows of ambition and toil. The air throbs with the rhythmic cadences of hammers striking anvils and machines whirring tirelessly. This is a world alive with a clamor of production, where the soundscape is dominated by the insistent anthem of metal against metal, reverberating through the concrete jungles of Soviet cities. As you wander through these cavernous spaces, your senses are inundated with the sharp tang of hot steel mingling with the acrid aroma of coal smoke. It's a symphony of industry playing on an endless loop, shaping an era defined by its utilitarian focus and driven by state-mandated quotas. The factory floor is a sea of bustling activity. Workers clad in grimy overalls move with purposeful precision, each a cog in the grand machinery. Yet, beneath this facade of uniformity lies an undercurrent of quiet resilience and camaraderie. Amidst the din of clattering tools and mechanized labor, workers exchange covert glances and whispered jokes, a small rebellion against the humdrum of productivity. Despite the authoritarian overtones, humanity finds pockets of light in shared experiences and laughter stifled only by the roar of engines. Historians still debate whether the Soviet industry's massive scale was a testament to its efficiency or a cumbersome beast of bureaucratic excess. Perhaps this dichotomy is best captured in the hulking silhouette of a Soviet factory, simultaneously a symbol of strength and a monument to the Sisyphean struggle against inefficiency. For every success story, there are whispers of assembly lines halted by missing parts, the gears of industry grinding to a halt over something as trivial as a misplaced wrench. Among the clamor, your attention is drawn to the workers' break room, a haven of sorts where steaming mugs of strong tea offer warmth against the chill of socialist realism. In these moments of reprieve, stories unfold over bread and cheese tales of family, aspirations, and the small rebellions that punctuate the everyday. Here, you find a collection of makeshift instruments, a guitar with fraying strings, and a set of hand drums, small tokens of humanity's enduring spirit in a landscape dominated by iron and steel. Your thoughts linger on the quirks of Soviet industry, unique solutions emerging from the grind of production. Imagine factories pausing to accommodate local festivals, machinery yielding momentarily to the pulse of culture. In some ways, the Soviet industrial landscape is a living paradox, the relentless push for uniformity, giving birth to charming idiosyncrasies nestled within its corridors. It's not just the clashing of machinery that engraves itself in your memory, but the distinct chorus of voices enunciate with a mixture of pride and weariness, embodying the grit and tenacity of a people whose lives are inextricably linked to these engines of productivity. Outside the factory walls, the landscape is marked by trails of relentless productivity, smokestacks, symbolizing not just industry, but also dreams bound in chains of labor. You continue your journey through this world of contrasts, and just as you think you've seen it all, you're reminded of the lesser-known innovations thriving amidst these confines. Take a moment to ponder the world of people's creativity grassroots movements, where workers repurpose industrial materials into artworks and inventions, blending functionality and fantasy. It's as if ingenuity is itself a form of silent protest, marking space where individuality might otherwise be overlooked. Every clang, every thud, and every whir of Soviet industry resonates within you, a cacophony of relentless power juxtaposed against moments of extraordinary human resilience. You feel the vibrations in your bones, each reverberation a testament to a world that defined itself through production and collective achievement, yet hummed a quieter tune of personal endeavor beneath the surface. In this symphony of industry, your thoughts drift to echoes of persistence, the resolute drumbeat of survival, through shared hardship and surprising individuality. The legacy of these towering giants of production, forged in the fires of historical necessity, reminds you that even within the most rigid constructs arise stories of tenacity and whispered dreams. You take a deep breath, standing on the fringes of this indelible mark of Soviet life, your senses swirling around the tantalizing possibility of undiscovered stories cloaked in the resonance of clashing steel. As the clang of metal finally gives way to the quiet of evening, the persistent whisper of industry fades into the night, a reminder of the ceaseless dance of work and wonder weaved across the Soviet Union's storied horizon. And as you retreat from this world of turbines and triumphs, you're left with an echo of determination, etched in steel and spirit, ready to weave itself into the narratives yet untold. The aroma of simmering vegetables and fresh bread beckons you towards the heart of the Soviet home, the kitchen, where culinary creativity and resourcefulness dance together in a delicate tango. As you step into this world of savory scents and modest provisions, you realize that Soviet cuisine is more than just the familiar bowls of borscht simmering on the stove. It's a testament to the ingenuity born of necessity. Imagine opening a Soviet pantry, finding it stocked with robust staples like potatoes, cabbage, and beat-simple ingredients that form the foundation of a diverse menu crafted with care and often accompanied by a side of laughter. Across the Union, these everyday essentials come to life with the addition of dill, sour cream, and the occasional piece of meat, transforming humble vegetables into hearty dishes that warm both body and soul. Yet, herein lies a story woven with both creativity and constraint, characterized by the recurring rhythm of scarcity. Think of powdered eggs, dried fish, and herring in their vibrant tints, each item carrying with it a whispered tale of survival in a world where supplies ebbed and flowed with the unpredictable tides of socialist planning. While your mind conjures images of bustling bazaars in warm sunshine, the Soviet reality, more often than not, presents a grayer picture of limited selections, thoughtfully stretched. Picture a grocery store shelf, sporadically stocked, dictating more than just meals, but the very substance of daily life. It's like a monochrome, painting dull and unchanging by design, where each new item becomes a splash of color, inspiring neighbors to share the excitement or disappointment of new arrivals. On days of special abundance, remember the sight of a queue that snakes through city blocks, just for that rare appearance of bananas or citrus, transforming an ordinary day into a festive occasion. In the midst of this controlled scarcity, cunning and barter flourish as secondary currencies, where neighbors exchange recipes as much as rationed goods, little acts of defiance against the perceived monotony. Even amidst the challenges, Soviet kitchens harbor epicenters of familial warmth and gathering, dense conversations echoing off walls bearing witness to collective kitchen toolkits. Tough, ubiquitous pots and pans glide effortlessly from stove to table, often filled with pelmeni or pirozhki, comforting dumplings that are as varied as the people making them. Each fold and crimp carries a connection to generations past, inspired by the rugged simplicity of age-old recipes passed down in whispers. Historians still argue whether these culinary methods were an ode to culinary heritage or simply a manifestation of state-sanctioned pragmatism. It's a tug-of-war between necessity and tradition, a fragrant cloud of debate, seasoning dinners that craft a unique identity amid the reign of resolution and resolve. Moreover, dining experiences in the Soviet era are as much about gathering together as they are about the food itself. You can almost hear the laughter and animated discussions as families come to the table, sharing stories and news as plates of Olivier salad and vinaigrette move along with good humor. It's not just camaraderie that imbues warmth into these occasions. It's the unspoken, silent harmony linking each place, setting like notes from a well-loved melody on a pleasing, if limited, menu. As you absorb this culinary tableau, your mind is drawn to the uniqueness of Soviet celebratory feasts. Reserved mostly for holidays and special occasions, the tablescapes become flush with vivid dishes, oft adorned with stacks of blini, golden caviar, or perhaps a glistening roast, making the staples shine as worthy repoussoirs to a triumphal spread. These moments, rare as they may be, shimmer in the collective memory, dazzling hallmarks of resourcefulness, transforming challenges into celebrations. And just like that, the tang of Kvasa beloved drink, flavored with rye bread and winter sun tingles your taste buds, a common refreshment that soothes and invigorates with its remarkable balance of sweet and sour. It's a nod to an unshakable adaptability, emblematic of the Soviet palate amid the confines of culinary constraint. Reflect for a moment longer on the myriad smells wafting from Soviet kitchens, each capturing fragments of an era that persists in memory, nostalgically evoking hardship, innovation, and the enduring unity we find in breaking bread together. Here, Soviet cuisine proves far more than mere sustenance. It's a vibrant tapestry knit from the threads of resilience, cultural fusion, and understated rebellion. As the mingling aromas return to whispers and sighs around the table, you appreciate the intricacies of Soviet culinary traditions, encapsulating not just flavor, but a shared journey that transcends limitations and inspires lasting connections. The flickering shadows of history invite you, when a Verif à la Soviet feast revisits your imaginations afresh. You find yourself standing before a monolithic structure on an overcast morning, the sheer enormity of the building encapsulating the purpose that lies within. The Soviet school. Stepping inside, you are instantly wrapped in an air tinged with chalk dust, mingling with the smell of well-used wooden desk seats, a bastion of learning where young minds are meticulously shaped to fit into the vast framework of Soviet ideals. Within these walls, you witness the regimented rituals of the Soviet education system in action, an intricate ballet of disciplined learning and ideological instruction. The day begins promptly, with the crisp crackle of announcements through the loudspeaker as students stand to attention, recite the anthem, and collectively promise allegiance to a state that molds their worldview from the tender age of 7. With each passing moment, you become a part of the living fabric of a classroom, an environment steeped in national pride and mathematical equations. Between geography lessons mapping the sprawling enfold of socialist lands and recitations from Pushkin, a particular atmosphere prevails zone that marries the pursuit of knowledge with the cultivation of communal identity. Historians still argue whether the rigor imposed by Soviet education was beneficial in fostering a single, unified citizenry, or whether it bred inadvertently rebellious curiosity among its students. The equilibrium once settled cannot be easily dislodged, as every lesson delivered holds a double edge of both learning and unconscious dissent. Adorned in their iconic red scarves and heavy woolen uniforms, students embody the paradox of uniformity. Individuality seldom acknowledged amid expectations of academic excellence and ideological conformity. With every rhythmic scribble of pens on paper, young pupils are instilled with the principles of Leninist thought, interwoven with arithmetic and poetry a syllabus, structured to endow each child with an unshakable foundation in state-sanctioned ideals. Outside the rigidity of classrooms, the playground offers a brief respite, a rare symphony of laughter and innocent joy. Here, beneath the gaze of formidable school marshals, children trade jokes, athletic feats, and small bits of rebellion in the form of forbidden Western tunes or tales of fantastical lands far from the shadow of the Kremlin. On this playground, fleeting moments of carefree abandon offer short-lived freedom, a whimsical interlude in a tightly choreographed world. The school library offers another realm of exploration, where silences thrum with the promise of adventure between the pages of literature, both foreign and local. A hushed cathedral of learning, the library hums with potential a sanctuary for those seeking to imagine their place beyond Soviet borders. Students pore over stories of distant lands, their imaginations casting shadows of subversive freedom, beneath the monarchy of controlled comprehension. Recall as well the central role of the pioneer groups, the formalized collectives designed to reinforce communal values and foster loyalty from a young age. These collectives teach networking and community service, but also unwittingly seed the early roots of enduring friendships and whispered dreams shared behind indomitable facades. These groups form a social fabric resilient in the face of educational conformity. It's at exam time that the true intensity of Soviet education becomes fully evident. The atmosphere crackles with tension, the classrooms echoing with the whispered recitations of last-minute revisions and collective resolve. Each exam paper, handled with trembling hands, becomes not merely a test of academic knowledge, but a gateway to future prospects, an altogether somber dance between achievement and expectation. Within the heart of this educational powerhouse, a quirky element endures curious rituals and traditions passed from generation to generation. From class trips steeped in historical gravitas to choreographed songs sung at school assemblies, these quirks reflect wider cultural practices, offering moments of fun amidst imposed order. Even the school bell, an authoritative echo throughout the corridors, intones more than just time. It's the rhythm by which students march in unity and uniformity. And as the school day comes to a close, students disperse to the city's edges in masses, serendipitously forming small cliques as they discuss lectures, navigate growing pains, and concoct fanciful dreams of futures untainted by the state's stronghold. The lively chatter drifts into the air as testament to resilience, holding space for unfurling identities amid state-crafted visions. As you leave the resonant halls of Soviet learning, you're imbued with an indelible sense of the fabric that held young hearts captive, taught, tested, and tethered, all while sustaining fragments of individuality within the calculated choreography of ideological education. The essence of Soviet schooling imparts more than mere proficiency in numbers or letters. It weaves together strands of history and humanity, a blueprint for collective resilience, etched in lives learning to dance along the edge of scripted rebellion. Through the chalky haze, history's imprint emerges, textured and layered, a latitudinal arc extending beyond the confines of curriculum toward future stories yet to be inscribed in the spirals of time. Your journey through this world of edification echoes with recollections and lessons some taught, others learned nervously between whispering innocence. You're left with an enduring impression of spirited determination, blossoming within an expanse still finding itself. As you continue your journey, you step inside the warm confines of a Soviet apartment building, where the essence of home blends with the sounds of daily life echoing through shared spaces. The hallways are a microcosm of Soviet existence, alive with the rhythm of footsteps and the hush of whispered conversations, punctuated by the occasional burst of laughter or the sharp clang of a slamming door. This is the world of the Kommunalka, the communal apartmenter, quintessential feature of Soviet housing that encapsulates an era defined by shared living and enforced collectivism. Within these walls, privacy becomes an elusive luxury, exchanged for the necessity of camaraderie among families who navigate the complex choreography of cohabitation. Imagine your senses as you move through these cramped quarters, the smell of cabbage and potatoes simmering on an ancient stove drifting through the air, mingling with fresh garlic. The kitchen is the heart of the Kommunalka, where neighbors gather, share meals, and trade stories, forming bonds over the shared struggle of making do with finite resources. Here, the mundane becomes an intricate dance of negotiation and compromise. Picture the jostling for stove space, the careful assignment of chores, and the delicate ballet of securing time in the bathroom. Each act a testament to an unwritten code of conduct governing communal life. The residents navigate this world with an unspoken understanding, a tacit agreement that binds them in the common pursuit of harmony amidst the chaos of crowded living. Historians still debate whether these living arrangements fostered a strong sense of community or merely exacerbated tensions between neighbors. It's a delicate balance, where friendships blossom through necessity, but conflicts simmer beneath the surface like a pot on a perpetually low boil. Yet, within this structured coexistence, your mind drifts to images of resilience and creativity. Each Kommunalka hosts a tapestry of personalities, woven together by shared walls and collective experiences. You find the inventive genius of Soviet urban life, the cardboard walls erected for an extra touch of privacy, the cleverly curtained-off alcoves that transform mere spaces into sanctuaries of solitude. As you pass through the corridors, you notice the faded photographs and religious icons pinned reverently on the walls, mementos of personal history, surviving the eras of shifting ideologies. These tokens offer a silent glimpse into the private worlds of residents, fractured yet vibrant, each image a silent witness to shared joys and struggles. Yet, not every interaction in the Communalka is about necessity or conflict. Even in these compact quarters, there are moments of whimsy and celebration, joint birthday parties where children and adults alike bask in the concert of clinking glasses, toasts resonating across thin walls with heartfelt sincerity. You might even experience spontaneous gatherings that transform living rooms into makeshift dance floors, where lively folk tunes inspire impromptu foot-stomping in 3/4 time. As you explore further, an unexpected character emerges from these stories, one you might never meet but always feel the presence of the Domcom, the building committee tasked with mediating disputes and overseeing maintenance. To some, they embody authority. To others, a friendly face in times of need. In this compact world, they are both mediator and friend, offering guidance through the intricate web of communal life. But in the end, it's the personal connections formed within the walls of the Communalka that leave the deepest imprint on your journey. You picture impromptu recitals and late-night cups of tea beside a window, flickering with candlelight, embroidered with tales of hope and ambition exchanged under the stars. Through this lens, you see the Communalka, not as a relic of constrained living, but as a vibrant network of stories and relationships, a living testimony to the resourceful spirit of its inhabitants. Each door holds secrets, while each shared meal forges unbreakable bonds, creating a mosaic of human endurance amidst the intricacies of enforced community. As you step softly along the worn linoleum floors of Soviet housing, the ghostly hum of the building fades into the background, leaving a parting whisper that reminds you of this world's complexity and wonder. You're left with an imprint of shared existence, where perseverance meets an unyielding desire to carve out moments of joy, even amid the claustrophobic folds of collective living. The journey through these compact, bustling homes fills you with a fresh understanding of resilience in the ordinary. It's an experience wrapped in layers of humanity, each pattern impressed upon your imagination like the folds of well-worn fabric, a testament to the spirit of that time, lending warmth to the echoes of those closely knit lives. The sun barely peeks over the horizon as you make your way into the bustling realm of Soviet workplaces, where the Soviet Union's grand vision of collectivism comes alive. The air hums with the determined sounds of daily exertion, the rhythmic buzz of fluorescent lights flickering to life, the whirl of gears starting their daily grind, and the crisp echoes of shoes clicking across linoleum floors. As you enter the factory floor or office cubicle, you're greeted by a world that functions with an almost mechanical precision. Every worker a crucial component in the union's vast production engine. The workplace is more than just a venue for labor. It is a pivotal arena where state objectives meet individual ingenuity, their interplay dictating the tempo of Soviet life. Your senses absorb the tangible camaraderie that forms amidst a backdrop of perpetual toil. Despite the predictable monotony that often accompanies repetitive tasks, there's a shared resilience in the air, a silent pact among workers who navigate the idiosyncrasies of the Soviet work ethic with their distinctive blend of humor and perseverance. In such an environment, even a mid-shift tea break can turn into a momentary escape, a chance to exchange jokes whispered conspiratorially over steaming mugs. Picture this reality: the Soviet workday punctuated by clockwork routines, interlaced with the occasional spark of inspiration. Imagine the pride taken in meeting a state-imposed target, the satisfaction felt when an innovation or workaround streamlines production just a bit more. These small victories breathe life into the repetitive cycles of assembly lines and office tasks, turning monotony into moments of shared achievement. Historians still argue whether the Soviet emphasis on productivity was truly effective, or whether it simply masked inefficiencies behind a facade of inflated statistics. The discussion lingers like the aroma of machine oil and paper, a perennial debate about the true impact of the regimented approaches that defined Soviet labor. In reality, it is the workers adapting to constraints with adaptive wit who provide a counter-narrative to the monolithic tales of industrial might. Venture beyond the factory floor, and you encounter the kaleidoscope of roles performing daily, shrouded between bureaucratic ceremony and innovative endeavor. There's a particular poetry in collaboration among workers. Imagine the effortless handoff of tasks amidst the clattering hum of typewriters, camaraderie fostering roles that blend secretary's acumen with production line precision. Each position's distinctiveness is marked by policy, yet human stories interlace to create a vibrant tapestry of industry and expression. Every institution holds its share of quirks like the Soviet capitalist competitions, where factories and collective farms compete for prestige and glory in achieving higher outputs. These competitions inject a playful but determined spirit into the workplace, rallying workers into meeting challenges head-on. You picture banners emblazoned with exhortations to exceed quotas hanging from walls, and the occasional tangible reward bit, a certificate, a red flag, or public acknowledgement that sweetens the triumph of effort. Outside a culture focused on accomplishment, the inventive streak runs parallel to an undercurrent of quiet resistance. Workers innovate adaptations and repurpose equipment, not out of rebellion, but out of necessity and pride. In spaces where raw material might be scarce, the emergence of junkyard science defies traditional boundaries of scientific methodology. Clerk reimagining parts of machines to coax better results, even out of outdated equipment. As you journey through the pulsating heart of Soviet labor, you stumble across the informal rituals that soften the grinder welcoming smile from the janitor first thing in the morning, the sound of knitting needles clicking away during a break, or a snippet of music floating from a hidden speaker. The everyday becomes extraordinary when imbued with human touch, softening the sharper edges of work life. However, no workday is complete without mentioning central leadership's ubiquitous presenter, watchful monitor, with indiscernible presence, whose faceless approval frames the balance between ambition and subversion, productivity and critique. The unspoken ebb and flow of challenges and inventiveness marks each office and factory floor, like clock hands synchronously swinging between days. Through all this, you come away with a deeper understanding of the Soviet work environment, a universe unto itself, where aspiration and expectation coexist, weaving together, knitting an identity that stands atop shared values and common struggles. Behind the impassive facade of blueprints and 5-year plans, it is this, the simple and sublime spirit of human toil, that writes the true story of Soviet labor. It is a complex, nuanced world, a sepia-toned panorama of determination and endeavor, where the grand narrative of Soviet productivity intersects with the subtle, poignant notes of human resilience, creating a harmonious symphony that persists in echoes long after machines grow silent and offices are emptied. The enduring legacy of Soviet work life is etched both in progress and persistence, layering a historical chronicle that reminds you of the ingenious nature that emerges from shared obligation, sparking unique creativity amidst ever-present challenges, and shaping a legacy woven deeply into the mythology of labor itself. Imagine stepping into a vibrant world filled with the subtle clicks of knitting needles, the swish of fabric against skin, and the faint scent of freshly sewn clothes, layered with the warmth of steam irons. Welcome to fashion behind the Iron Curtain, a realm where style and practicality merge out of necessity, crafting a unique sartorial landscape colored by both the dictates of the state and the resilient creativity of the people. Within this multifaceted tapestry, the Soviet fashion experience is one of ingenuity and resourcefulness, shaped not by bountiful department stores, but by austere choices and an occasional stroke of improvisation. As you wander through the streets, your eyes take in the symphony of patterns and textures that paint a picture of life's vibrant canvas amidst the shadows of scarcity. The Soviet garment ethos, driven by both socialist ideology and economic pragmatism, emphasizes function over form. In this world, clothes serve as statements of unity and utility rather than flamboyant expressions of individualistic couture. Tailored blazers, practical yet chic skirts, and sensible shoes mark the standard uniform, worn with pride by professionals and laborers alike. It's a place where every item in a wardrobe is not merely an accessory, but a testament to the art of making do. Yet, under this cloak of regulation and uniformity, a current of creative defiance runs deep. Imagine the young women of the Soviet Union, experimenting with Western trends through the back channels of fashion magazines smuggled across borders. In secret, they swap patterns for sewing newly coveted styles at home, their makeshift creations whispered tributes to a world beyond their perimeter. Seams are let out, hemlines altered, and ruffles added, transforming standard-issue garments into personal statements dipped in the zest of individuality. Historians still debate whether this quiet rebellion marked a genuine desire for Western proliferation or simply a longing to imprint an identity subtly in a world built on conformity. Regardless, one truth resounds with enduring clarity. Fashion here is less about opulence and more about finding an authentic voice while working within deliberate restraint. Peer into the bustling marketplace, where textile shortages create a landscape of barter and trade. Worn fabrics make their way into new styles, hemmed by skillful hands and imaginative minds willing to embrace endless possibilities. The lively spirit of Tolkuchki markets a blend of farmer's market meets unofficial designer's boutique, captures the essence of this cloth adventure, where the quest for unique textiles and versatile patterns shape both craft and community. In the heart of this sartorial world lies another curious specimen denim. A ubiquitous staple of Western fashion, jeans become an unexpected symbol of teenage protest, their scarcity marking them both a prized possession and silent statement of cultural longing. While typically scarce in stores, jeans flourish in the Soviet imagination, embroidered with youthful defiance against enforced homogeny, spinning subtle whispers of silent rebellion across the cobblestones of city streets. Stirred by dimly lit shop windows, fashion finds a focal point in the ever-reliable communal sewing machines, the steady hum becoming an anthem of creation, echoing through kitchens and small apartments converted into textiles workshops. Each whir adds to the mosaic woven by residents, daring to transform limited resources into eye-catching creations, the adroit hand-stitching life into make-do fashion. Soviet fashion is as much an individual rhythm as it is a community chorus. Dressing for work or gathering transforms into opportunities for expression, a pathway toward creativity, be it through hand-knit sweaters, exuding homemade charm, hats fashioned with equatorial colors, or evening dresses cut to reflect the brilliance of a Russian starry night. Sartorial storytelling blossoms within the rigor of daily life. And as you move through this world, bathed in the patterns and shades dancing across your vision, you come to appreciate the quiet resilience at the heart of Soviet fashion. It's a story not just of fabric and seams, but of perseverance and identity, framed by silken threads and buttons made precious through imagination. Stand a while at the window of a small atelier, where a solitary bulb casts shadows, and sense the pulse of determination that turns each garment into a bold statement of individuality and improbable elegance, emerging from pragmatic survival. Here, the fashion of the Soviet era transcends fabric to craft narratives drenched in vitality, breathing life into the rhythms of the ordinary. Through the russet of vintage photographs and echoes of bygone eras, you reach an understanding forged in the interplay of utility and self-expression. Fashion behind the iron curtainer narrative of resilience, folded and reshaped among the human experience, marks time within lines and stitches, blending modesty with moments of audacious color throughout the tapestry of Soviet life's greatest sartorial mosaic. You drift through the echoes of laughter and the soft hum of a bygone era's leisure, stepping into the world of Soviet entertainmenta realm, where creative endeavors and collective joys weave together, offering an escape from the rigidity of daily life. Here, amid the vast backdrop of state-controlled narratives, individuals find solace and connection through shared pastimes, from quiet evenings spent with a book to the vibrant rhythms of a communal dance hall. Begin with the intimate charm of Soviet cinema. The movie theater stands as a time capsule of emotions. Its marquee flickers with films rich in symbolism and often laced with ideological subtext. The theaters transform into sanctuaries where audiences escape into the silver screen's tapestry, unspooling stories that merge heroism with humor, forging a bond among the seated rows. You can almost hear the soft rustle of popcorn, smell the mustiness of worn seats, and feel the communal exhale as the screen lights up with tales of valor, comedy, and occasional introspection. Soviet cinema, notable for its epic narratives and artistic directors, offers more than mere escapism. It serves as an educational tool, a reflection of collective identity, and a cultural bond linking citizens across vast landscapes. The government ensures that every production reflects core themes of unity and hard work, yet the filmmaker's genius lies in their ability to infuse these with personal tonality and visual poetry. Historians still argue whether these artistic endeavors represented true creative expression or if they were strictly products of state-run propaganda. Whichever side of the argument you lean towards, it is undeniable that these films touched viewers' hearts, inspiring those seated in the dimly lit auditoriums. Turn now to another communal refugee library. Image thousands of volumes housed within silent shelves, waiting to transport their readers into alternate universes. Books become gateway vessels to adventure and introspection, inviting readers to traverse epochs and emotions unfurled across well-thumbed pages. Whether state-approved novels or underground samizdat copies shared among friends, books act as narratives and subtextual avenues of exploration amid contrived norms. The gentle whisper of turning pages blends with soft footfalls along wooden aisles, threading a tale of imagined and real banter as the readers discover a world only accessed through their imaginations. Here lies a paradoxical emblem of Soviet times. While content is often dictated, the act of reading remains a bastion of personal thought. Music and dance present a vibrant counterpoint, their lively cadence providing an exuberant escape from the austere workday. Soviet music halls and dance clubs resonate with infectious energy, their animated patrons twirling to songs infused with folk heritage and contemporary verses. Picture the vibrant footwork gracing the dance floor, each step punctuated by young voices harmonizing with spirited bands. During these exhilarating nights, the boundaries of work and leisure blur. Musicians and dancers abandon pretense to embrace the shared pulse of melodies, the evening shadows lit by the glow of enthusiasm and communal revelry. Even in such environments, societies find unexpected junctions of creativity and joy, the rhythm of liberation lacing their steps as stories are sung into unforgettable memories. Within this colorful milieu, local performance actors, singers, and poets travel throughout the Soviet expanse, offering performances that connect communities through shared laughter and contemplation. They become heralds of artistic expression and unity, guiding audiences beyond daily struggles through tales drawn from shared experiences. These performances, hewn through hardships and dreams, embody a celebration of endurance and imagination. In the refreshing world of radio, audiophiles discover the allure of storytelling and connection. The airwaves hum with voices, delivering news updates or spirited radio plays, binding listeners across disparate fields. The feel of static crackling through a transistor radio provokes an immediate nostalgia for the dinners centered around a single source of entertainmenta, virtual hearth, that nurtures bonding across tables. Such entertainment transcends the walls of Soviet homes, marking its footprint with tales exchanged beyond function. In this mosaic of culture and connection, even humble pastimes like chess play a role. Chess, an intellectual pursuit intertwined with national pride, becomes a common thread linking neighbors and families in strategic thought and quiet triumph. Amid the symphony of sounds, sights, and stories that paint Soviet leisure with a rare authenticity, you wonder at the capacity for creative joy and respite fostered within a state-run framework. The crushing predictability of daily existence never quells the inherent spirit in finding delight along corridors of imagination and camaraderie. As this rich panorama of Soviet entertainment unfurls in memory, you are left with a renewed sense of the essential role these diversions played in enriching the texture of life. Days are carried on soaring notes and sweeping narratives. The ghostly footprints of 20th century joys lead your imagination toward evenings alive with light and music, fueling the authenticity and beauty of lives lived amidst constraint. The vibrancy of Soviet leisure embodies a testament to humanity's resilient spark, savoring every rhythm, every story, and every dance a legacy of joie de vivre that extends well beyond the iron veils of history. The vibrant hum of Soviet life carries you onto the streets bustling with people making their daily commutes. The air is filled with the symphony of public transportation, harmony of clanging metal, rhythmic wheels, and locomotive whistles piercing through the cityscape. As you step aboard, you are enveloped by the distinctive aura of Soviet transportation, where trains and trams stand as lifelines connecting the sprawling urban tapestry. Picture the moment you enter the crowded carriage of a Soviet tram, the iron-clad vehicle gliding along worn tracks that snake through the city. The gentle jerk of acceleration propels you forward, while fellow passengers sway symbiotically, captives of the tram's familiar dance. The air is lively with the echoes of brief conversations, the polite exchanges of shared space among strangers who rely on this constant thread of mobility. Within this moving vessel, you observe the coexistence of characters, a tapestry of inhabitants brought together under the watchful gaze of hissing brakes and ringing bells signaling stops. The clack of connecting lines and the rhythmic chugging create a symphony of movement, a shared anthem for the everyday journey of citizens hustling to and from work, home, and countless destinations in between. Historians still argue whether the tightly packed world of Soviet public transit was a model of efficiency or simply another page from a directive-driven book. However, the varied sea of humanity carried along these routes hold a less debatable truth. Trains and trams become an implicit testament to a society's remarkable endurance, traversing the expanses held together by steel webs. Public transportation is not just a means of travel, it serves as the artery of the USSR's social structure, binding its people. Gazing out over landscapes flowing past the fogged windows, vast Soviet scenery, dotted with brutalist architecture, interrupted by patches of greenery, reminds you of the vastness of the land these vehicles connect, knitting communities together across distances, both geographical and psychological. Imagine the enduring sight of Soviet trains departing crowded platforms, their diesel engines propelling them with measured resolve toward distant horizons. From the clanking freight trains, laden with goods across continental spans, to the iconic electric trains zipping between urban centers, these steel beasts do more than oscillate. They animate the Soviet driving force, threading lives between the pulse of cities. The rumble beneath your feet instills a reassuring sense of arrival and departure, the rhythmic gallop of wheels tracing a path through time and convergence. The sheer mechanics of logistics come alive on these tracks, carrying echoes of stories and travelers seeking answers at the end of each line. Somewhere, a child's eager eyes press against glass portals, dreaming of worlds beyond the familiar territories, reveries punctured by the playful conversations of elders sharing space. More than physical presence, transportation fosters an intimacy traced across invisible connections. Colleagues greet each other with anecdotes updated from last evening's journey. Family groups gather upon in shared anticipation, and friends exchange conspiratorial whispers, each ride a continuation of collective lives lived in parallel. The grandeur of Soviet stations themselves reinforces the importance of these connecting threads. Grand arches and mosaics capture the intertwined histories of movement and the steadfast beat of progression, monolithic examples of Soviet architectural grandeur juxtaposed with the mundane rhythm of daily commutes. It is here that humanity pauses before embarking toward lived odysseys, bearing the elegant marks of benches, booths, and rushing of overhead tracks. There exists also a whimsy in this universe of rails and tracks, where the unexpected can take root. Imagine the peculiar exchanges amidst ticket inspectors employed not just to monitor, but sometimes to share anecdotes about going adventures. Even as workers crowd into carriages or board platforms, like synchronized dance, there remains a mischievous brilliance as free spirits clip buttons or sing in chorus alongside transactions. As you delve deeper into this tapestry of transit, your focus turns to the immense network of tracks sprawling across the vast Soviet landscape. The intricate latticework of railways not only promises alternate possibilities, but paints the Soviet Union's emblematic bridges of conquest vehicles bar none, signifying an era not entirely free but unwilting, offering windows that frame the burgeoning dreamscapes of Epicurean curiosity and travels unbridled in mind or rail. Thus, the echoes of yesteryear transportation linger long after departure, every station whispering secrets of time and exploration. Now, as the steady beat of travelling engines fades into silence, the humble journey you have taken becomes a reflection of collective journeys, both intimate and infiniteer, passage through tales encoded in the tracts of iron and aspirations tempered by adventure, a narrative woven into the fabric of Soviet public transport, tracing outlines from harmonic steel to soulful infinitesimal, emerges resilient echoing through time's pathways, inviting history's passengers to recall experiences of travel woven through society itself. Whether sheltering in magnetic carriages or narrowly avoiding a friendly nudge, the story stays tightly interlaced within the woven mantle of century upon telegraphed worlds of possibility. As you continue your journey through the heart of Soviet life, you find yourself stepping into the world of Soviet shopping, a place where the act of purchasing goods is as much an exercise in patience as it is in procurement. Here, the simplicity of entering a store morphs into a nuanced experience colored by anticipation, resourcefulness, and the unpredictable dance of supply and demand. Picture the sight of a Soviet gastrodome, its utilitarian facade betraying little about the mysteries that lie within rows of shelves. Wafts of earthy cabbage and coarse bread intermingle with the acrid smell of the varnished wooden counters. It's early morning, and already a scene unfolds where hopeful patrons assemble in orderly queues that stretch far beyond the wooden doors, eager for the bounty of fresh bread, dairy, or sugar, each item holding more value than gold on some days. Imagine the smiles that flit across faces as word spreads of an unexpected delivery, that rare instance when the market is stocked with a precious cargo of oranges from distant lands or imported canned goods. Anecdotes of these experiences are exchanged with the zeal reserved for triumphs, conversations punctuated with humor about navigating a realm where the simple pleasure of obtaining goods becomes an exercise in mastering the art of patience and timing. The stark realities of Soviet shopping offer a lens into a unique world where availability of products ebbs and flows, determined more by centralized planning than consumer demand. Historians still debate whether this model fostered resilience among citizens or whether it stifled innovation by dampening economic spontaneity. Regardless of the perspective, it remains clear that resourcefulness is the currency that bridges the gaps between shortage and sustenance. In the absence of choice, even the act of shopping becomes a ritual of camaraderie and ingenuity. Amidst the many constraints, you sense a lively undercurrent of small-scale enterprises and barter economies thriving between neighbors who swap goods like precious commodities or exchange homemade produce fetched from family gardens outside urban confines. Such personal connections supplement, if not subvert, the sanction systems, enabling individuals to navigate shortages while nurturing communal ties. Step inside a clothing store to see more than mere fabric. Here, people forge connections with tailors, learning how to stitch narratives into practicality, redefining style through alterations and clever repairs. A missing button or torn hem transforms into a new possibility shared among amateur seamstresses, a pattern of Soviet couture forged amid limitations of fabric as vibrant as any other. Delve into the whims of shoppers by exploring the playful oddities that exist amidst the shortage. Specialty goods emerge like rare gem-chauserie, or toiletries become coveted treasures displayed behind counters, capturing the artful skill of shopkeepers, crafting scarcity into allure. Of course, the quintessential Soviet institution, the Torgsin, stands as a beacon for those clutching foreign currency, or coupons, a place where dreams of luxury, albeit with a price, tantalizingly whisper among shelves. Outside the marketplace, consider the intrepid spirit of Soviet bazaars, where commodities blend with employment, lives, and ideas. These bustling scenes embody the genuineness of communal barter, channeled from private gardens into the urban sprawl, seamlessly weaving together the mundane with lively exchange. Here, vibrant personalities pepper transactions with comedic anecdotes, the warmth of cultural identity permeating spaces forgotten by scripted accounts. Amidst these interactions, you witness captivating spectacles where adaptability reigns. Picture babushkas availing to barter, employing their sharp wit and persuasive prowess to weave conversations from adversity. They skillfully navigate the intricacies of a world where competitive instinct sprinkles inspiration over conventional norms and interval, sung in thrifting chorus that echoes through seasons. Beyond the constraints, unexpected moments of whimsy might unfold. The sudden arrival of new products gracing shelves ignites festivities. Acquaintances summon each other for another chance to collect sought-after rarities, souls rejoicing over precious discoveries made in arcane aisles. Shoppers feel transfixed by shared desire, tantalized by the coalescence of fortune and expectation amid persevering routines. Stepping from this evanescent experience as you rejoin the bustling sounds of Soviet roads, realize the layered narrative that weaves Soviet shopping together, the remarkable unveiling of society, framed within economic vagaries and personal connections fueled by strength drawn from community ties. As the marketplace's hum wanes, you carry the lingering aroma of curiosity, shaped from tales woven through memories of acquiring essentials and existential quest, encapsulated by the persistence of simple aspirations in extraordinary times. Whether queuing patiently for flour or savoring the citrusy sweetness of an occasional imported fruit, these moments shine an illuminating focus on human endurance and creative spirit, defined by a daily dance with scarcity. The story of Soviet shopping, evolving between the spaces of resourcefulness and constraint, mirrors the rhythm of life, where the relentless pursuit of essentials finds fodder in the persistence and camaraderie of everyday joycer, compelling entry to navigate desires captured in friendship and imagination. You find yourself enveloped in an atmosphere pulsing with the anticipation of celebration, where the cadence of daily life yields to moments of shared joy and tradition amid the Soviet landscape. Dive into the world of Soviet celebrations and holidays, where national identity intertwines with personal milestones and public festivities become vibrant displays of cultural unity. The Soviet calendar is peppered with events that hold significance, each holiday offering a temporary liberation from the rhythms of labora, chance to celebrate in union and solidarity. As you step into this space, imagine the crisp air of May Day enveloping the streets, where parades thread through cities like colorful ribbons, infused with the harmonious echoes of marching bands and the resonant steps of determined citizens. In this vivid tableau, fluttering banners and flags illustrate solidarity, painting an ambiance rich in symbolism. Work as the backbone of the Soviet Union are exalted, their contributions woven into the rhythm of the parades that snake through broad boulevards dense with city dwellers, each joining in a tradition as old as the century itself. On Victory Day, the somber tones of remembrance mingle with the triumphant strains of national pride. The echo of military bands lingers as veterans, clad in uniforms adorned with gleaming medals, partake in jubilation that honors both sacrifice and success. In these sacred moments, the solemnity of history melds with gratitude, forging connections across generations, while the hiss of fireworks paints the night in triumphant color. Unlike these grand public observances, personal celebrations find their cadence amidst smaller, more intimate gatherings. Imagine crowded kitchens alive with the aroma of favorite dishes, a chorus of laughter and clinking glasses rising above the chorus of light-hearted gossip. Birthdays become sacred rite holidays unto themselves, where modest cakes decked with candelabra mark years gone by, infused with heartfelt toasts and simple pleasures shared among loved ones. Whether intimate or grand, every gathering underscores the Soviet emphasis on collectivism, each bond strengthened with the layers of tradition and optimism. Families congregate around heavily laden tables, indulging in pickled cucumbers and toasts of vodka as tales span familial lines. Each toast echoes old bonds, forged in struggle and perseverance, all resonating loudly in the clutch of clinking glasses. Historians still debate whether the focus on organized celebration was intended to bolster morale or merely perpetuate ideological conformity. Irrespective of the debate, it remains clear that these ceremonies managed to stitch coherence into Soviet identity, offering structured reprieve from routine workdays' liberation, from monotony cocooned in the embrace of ritual. Folk traditions find new life in the intersections of Soviet holidays. Envision costumed revelry, infused with festive rituals during Maslenitsa, refreshing rural time-honored customs where pancakes symbolize the sun's return, an ode to winter's end and impending warmth. For days, the air vibrates with joyful abandoned folk music, accompanying dances and bonfires, illuminating night's shroud with celebratory flickers. As winter creeps, the new year emerges as a beacon of future possibility. Imagine Ded Moroz Father Frost appearing with Snegorochka, the snow maiden, amidst gatherings adorned in reds and golds. Under twinkling tinsel and evergreen boughs, families anticipate the new beginning, encapsulating hope entwined with nostalgic whispers beneath illusion-colored lights. The innocent excitement of gifts exchanged and stories told is a melody timed to the tick of nearing midnights. Amidst the tapestry of state-sponsored holidays lie impromptu gatherings fueled by camaraderie, a wedding, a christening, or even the completion of a compromised 5-year plan. Herein, joyous celebration dances beyond formal pomp. Neighbors and friends unite to etch fleeting moments in memory, weaving thin lines of happiness into the broad tapestry of everyday life. As you sip from steaming cups of tea, the smoky embrace of celebratory libations parallels the soft hum of relationships forged and strengthened over shared space. These instances render significant testament to the resilience of human connection, embracing age-old customs with affection, permeating daily life with joy amid seemingly endless constraints. In this shimmering world of toasts and traditions, festivities find expression through empathy, humor, and the essence of community trappings transmuted by love. Soviet celebrations come alive with dignity, forging unity amidst adversity framed by tender laughter and illicit dreams spun on the air. As the curtain falls on each splendid celebration, the golden echoes of stories linger long after the embers die down. These celebrations, standing out like constellations against the Soviet tapestry, memorialize the lifeblood of generations past, leaving an indelible mark upon history shaped through enduring humanity. The resounding roar of the festivities fades slowly, stretching delicate threads through your memoria, realization of the triad that unfolds across narratives of past and present. Stitched into colorful harmonies, framing Soviet life, with stories infused with laughter, warmth, and resonance of hopeful dreams yet to be. You find yourself standing at a crossroads of shadow and light, where the omnipresent, watchful gaze of the state subtly influences every aspect of Soviet life. This is the realm of the KGB, an organization whose initials alone conjure whispers of intrigue and authority. As you tread carefully through this world, you sense the palpable tension that underscores ordinary life, where the specter of surveillance is as much a part of the backdrop as the architecture of Soviet cities. Imagine the quiet flicker of fluorescent lights pouring over office desks stacked with papers, punctuated by pensive figures in stark uniforms, the silent sentinels of Soviet order. Despite their mundane appearance, these agents craft an invisible web spanning the continent, their presence felt in the subtle undertones of conversations shared in both cafe corners and crowded trains. Their presence always implied, rarely seen, a testament to the enigmatic aura that shrouds their endeavors. In this world, secrets are both a currency and a commodity. You overhear speculation between wary neighbors, conversations hushed as the absent figure of the informant lingers like a phantom in the margins. The sharpness of awareness permeates everyday interactions, amplifying the smallest gestures into potential signals. Here, where routine and suspicion intersect, even the act of exchanging pleasantries transforms into a dance of careful words and measured tones. Historians still argue whether the pervasive scrutiny cultivated a loyal citizenry or instead bred an environment prone to paranoia. While the debate lingers, the fact remains that the intricate apparatus of control reaches deeply into the societal fabric, weaving its complexity within the rhythms of Soviet governance. Feel the air tighten as you stroll past unmarked buildings, walls concealing offices teeming with information meticulously catalogued and cross-referenced. It's a living puzzle, each detail another piece in the relentless pursuit of preserving the state narrative. From vast archives filled with meticulously documented files, to the newer, whispered technologies that hint at the Cold War's looming presence, the KGB stands as a silent guardian and occasional puppet master. Yet even under scrutiny's shadow, creative resilience finds room to breathe. The world of art and literature tiptoes along the fine line between sanctioned messages and whispered subversion, Imagine the cryptic lines of poetry, carefully veiled critiques of authority sliding past guards and censors into hungry hands, where each metaphor transports thoughts beyond ostensible boundaries. These creative whispers carry thoughts that at once sustain and resist, illuminating pathways in ostensibly darkened streets. Social gatherings are marked by an unspoken understanding of boundaries, a subtle calculus articulating topics permissible for debate or better left unsaid. The tension seesaws between spoken and unsaid, its rhythm casting ripples across the room, along with laughter shared in public settings, infused with awareness like a game of chess, moves planned several steps ahead. The dual role of the KGB, as both enforcer and protector, funnels into larger narratives about communal identity and control. In an odd twist of roles, their presence, while intrusive, crafts a peculiar environment marked uniquely by ingenuity. Consider the underground circles where criticism blossoms, the driven huddles of artists who work by candlelight, or within the whispered confines of impromptu salons, continuing dialogue against the unwavering infinity of state guidelines. This intriguing paradox invites perspective, challenging perceptions of structure and freedom. Regulation does not prevent human spirit from thriving. Rather, it compels individuals to navigate constraints with creativity. Even in a cadre of doubt, empathy blooms, a paradox reflecting one's endurance to reach serene liberation under layers of steel tones. Picture street corners where tree-lined paths lead toward clandestine meetings, a city, breathing with the thrum of secrets spoken in shadow-savory figures' silhouette, hinting at intent, confounded by uncertainty. You can trace your steps through the complexity, feeling the unique interplay of control and commentary along your path. As you dwell within this space, your impression of the KGB evolves into more than a monolithic symbol of authority. It offers a narrative backdrop entangling the layers of humanity within a system starkly designed to streamline. Against this curious duality, a silent chorus forms representing resolute citizens who, despite scrutiny, weave expressions of endurance into quotidian experiences. In the end, your journey through the brightness and shadow leaves more questions than answers, an enduring enigma within Soviet history, mirrored both by steadfast loyalty and softly asserted dissent. The legacy of the KGB is writ large through Soviet life, showcasing ideals tempered by human perseverance, story refracting subtle shades of rebellion and conformity unto the cultural fabric molded by aspiration, caution, and intellect, unraveling the delicate dance within the art of discipline and imagination. And as the watchful lens gradually fades from view, the echo of persistence lingers in its place, thoughtful reminder that even within the tightest grip, the human spirit finds room to soar. As you delve deeper into the intricate layers of Soviet life, a profound journey awaits into the realm of religion and atheism, a landscape shaped by the tension between personal faith and state-enforced secularity. Here, the spiritual vibrancy of diverse beliefs flows in contrast to an ideological framework seeking to root out religious influence. It's a world where faith and skepticism coexist, each casting their shadows across the expanse of the Soviet experience. At the heart of this dynamic is the state's official stance on religion, which promotes atheism as a cornerstone of Marxist-Leninist ideology. Imagine the striking presence of government campaigns, their bold posters and emphatic proclamations advocating for reason over superstition lining the streets. The clear message is that loyalty to the state supersedes adherence to faith, a directive challenging the very core of individual belief systems. Despite this top-down pressure, the mosaic of religion persists in whispered rituals and hidden shrines, entrenched in the roots of Russian Orthodoxy, Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, and myriad other traditions. In the intimate corners of homes, flickering candlelight and quiet prayers keep faith alive, an enduring testament to tradition that not even the imposing shadow of state power can completely extinguish. Historians still argue about the true impact of Soviet policies on religious practice, whether these measures were effective in suppressing faith or whether they inadvertently fortified religious identity among believers. Within the confines of this debate lies the powerful narrative of resistance and conformity, a testament to the complexity of belief under scrutiny. In this world, religious structures often stand in secular disguise, echoing with muted hymns from within their walls. Imagine churches repurposed as museums and monasteries reimagined as schools, their architectural grandeur remaining even as their original purpose is redefined. Yet these halls carry more than history. They whisper stories of quiet defiance, of faith nestled within shadows. The resilience of religious communities manifests in clandestine gatherings, vibrant with hymns that rise in swelling crescendo, a symphony of voices gathering in secret places, embracing an unyielding commitment to preserve their spiritual identity. These gatherings provide sanctuaries where shared beliefs unify individuals, offering solace and hope amid external constraints. Here, state-endorsed atheism coalesces with scientific curiosity, giving rise to scientific atheism programs that weave through education systems. Imagine science fair projects, extrapolating natural phenomena in classrooms where youth engage with astronomy, biology, and physics as tools of enlightenment. The narrative promoted is that of a progression towards rational thought, wrapped in the aspiration of building a society liberated from ethereal myth. The reality of Soviet atheism is interwoven with the social fabric, where ideologies both nurtured and curtailed blossom unconventionally. Yet, even amidst these dichotomies, those with profound belief express spirituality in extraordinary acts of grace. Be it an olive branch, tendered in kindness, or a cross, etched clandestinely on the reverse of a dwindling bread cut. As you continue this exploration, you note the quieter stories of individuals whose faith remains essential to their identity, holding firm in personal traditions as spiritual heirlooms pass through generations. Personal altars with modest icons transform living spaces into holy ground, a beacon of light amid existential uncertainty, opening nightly prayers as rhythms enfolded upon family hearts and hearths. Within this quiet rebellion, a subculture of spirituality emerges as artists, writers, and intellectuals weave their interpretations of faith into their work. Through intricate brushstrokes and carefully carved prose, religious undertones seep into Soviet art and literature, echoing the spiritual quest for truth in a world dictated less by dogma and more by silent dissent. As you wander through this world, witnessing contrasts between fervor and skepticism, what emerges is a complex narrative formed not merely by doctrines, but by the human spirit's enduring capacity to navigate the sacred and the secular. Religious and atheist dialogues entwine, offering a kaleidoscope of viewpoints that question, explore, and ultimately enrich the tapestry of Soviet life. And so, as the day closes, your journey through this charged landscape offers a poignant understanding of resilience and adaptation shaped by faith and ideology. The tale of religion within the Soviet Union of belief, intertwined with skepticism, and the dance of sacred traditions with rational thought, reminds us that even within a system designed to control, the deepest corners of the human heart remain beautifully untouched by temporal forces, retaining the timeless power to inspire and connect. As the flicker of candlelight fades into the evening, the layers of spiritual pursuit remain etched into the collective memory, a vivid reminder that faith, whether emboldened by confession or quiet meditation, is a force that transcends any boundaries imposed by the shifting sands of history. You find yourself venturing into the heart of the Soviet healthcare system, a world where state-provided medical services offer both solace and frustration. Here, in clinics and hospitals, the promise of free healthcare exists alongside realities tempered by scarcity, each experience marked by a mix of compassion and bureaucratic endurance. Imagine stepping into a polyclinic, a bustling hub of medical care, where doctors and nurses attend to a diverse community of patients. The air hums with a symphony of voices, mingled with the antiseptic tang of rubbing alcohol. Patients wait in long queues, their whispered conversations interspersed with coughs and the rustle of paperwork. This setting encapsulates the essential promise of Soviet healthcare: comprehensive and accessible treatment available to all citizens, an achievement of the socialist system. Despite the noble intent, the system reveals its complexities in the very fabric of daily operations. You notice the visibly frayed edges of hospital gowns, the clatter of outdated medical equipment straining to keep pace with the advances of modern medicine. the dedication of medical professionals stands in contrast to their tools, their commitment unwavering even as they navigate the confines of limited resources. In their eyes, the steely resolve of caregivers shines through, bridging gaps that technology or supplies cannot always mend. Historians still argue whether the Soviet healthcare model represented triumph in access or faltered due to systemic inefficiencies. However, there is no debate surrounding the resilient spirit of medical staff working tirelessly to preserve health and lives, drawing upon reserves of compassion and skill as they treat patients amidst shortages of medicine or equipment. As you wander these symmetrical corridors, you see the ingenuity that permeates across hospitals' improvised medical solutions, revealing Soviet adaptability. It's carried within the gentle hands of skilled doctors deploying traditional remedies, maximizing the use of limited pharmaceuticals with creative acumen. Patients continue placing their trust in a system where care is less a matter of price and more a reflection of human connection. The Soviet health landscape transcends doctor visits, with public sanitation serving as a crucial pillar. Picture community health campaigns, where lively posters in vivid colors adorn public spaces, advocating for disease prevention through proper hygiene and personal responsibility. Here, education becomes the first line of defense against communicable disease, a testament to the ideological focus on cultivating health awareness across the populace. You sense a unique paradigm in action, where health is not solely an individual's responsibility, but a collective endeavor. Citizens partake in preventive measures, not out of fear, but motivated by Dutya testament to the interwoven ideals of community and welfare. Neighborhood clinics and mobile units bring care closer to the people, spreading the reach of healthcare even in remote areas, where access extends like an embrace to pastoral corners of the Union. Envision the pervasive culture of Kura, or health resorts, a touchstone for Soviet medicine's philosophy, embracing therapeutic rest. These sanatoriums offer respite and recovery, where patients soak in mineral baths or partake in meteorotherapy amidst picturesque landscapes, proving once again that healing must consider body and mind alike. Here, the aged and young recharge, savoring a mixture of science and nature baked into shared experiences. Despite the virtues, critiques of the Soviet system remain where systemic rigidity sometimes impedes innovation and experimentation. The slower adoption of cutting-edge technology or groundbreaking treatments abroad illustrates this delicate balancing act, prompting the faithful and cynical alike to question whether state-led healthcare functioned better as a scaffold of loyalty than as a beacon of science. Against these narratives, stories of personal resilience play out of friendships nurtured in waiting rooms, of the familial bond that undercuts professional detachment, enabling relationships to extend beyond diagnosis and prescription. Whether sharing a cup of fragrant tea or supporting fellow patients through anecdotes, the human touch lends warmth time and again. In this world, your journey traces both the collective achievement of Soviet healthcare's ubiquity and the individual battles defining its imperfections. It becomes evident that the system, like society, is layered with complex stories of endurance and tenacity, belying straightforward evaluation. Ultimately, the Soviet healthcare experience illuminates the heart of an idea, grappling with its aspirations and limitations, a narrative of healing that holds resilience as steadfast as any prescription. As the day draws to a close, the whispers of this exploration linger, an enduring reflection of a commitment both to sustain life and overcome human frailty, within spaces woven from principled ideals and vivid contradictions. As you turn from these halls of care and complexity, the memory of Soviet medicine remains etched across your journey, leaving no doubt in the unwavering spirit that imbues the care meant to cradle every facet of Soviet human existence. You embark on a journey into the rich tapestry of Soviet art and music, where creativity dances intricately with constraints, illuminating the resilience of expression within the boundaries of state censorship. Here, the vibrant pulse of Soviet culture captivates you, revealing stories told through brushstrokes and symphonies, each a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit to find freedom in creation. Picture yourself stepping into an art gallery, the whispering echoes of polished shoes moving across wooden floors, mingling with the muted hum of quiet conversations. The artwork lining these walls is a kaleidoscope of ideologies, with socialist realism occupying a central place, a style designed to reflect the state's ideals of progress and proletarian heroism. The canvases depict smiling workers, harmonious landscapes, and scenes of collective achievement, each brushstroke echoing the rhythm of the state narrative. Yet, beneath this surface, an undercurrent of subversion and innovation thrives. Imagine artists gathering in communal spaces, their discussions tinged with excitement and defiance as they explore abstract and avant-garde forms in secret. Hidden from watchful eyes, their pieces capture the personal and philosophical, daring to glimpse beyond the prescribed motifs. These gatherings fostered a kind of camaraderie, a community bound by a shared desire for artistic exploration, unfettered by doctrine. Historians still argue whether Soviet art under censorship stifled true creativity or whether it challenged artists to innovate within limitations. Each argument highlights that these constraints birthed novel forms of expression and unexpected legacy of imposed boundaries that simultaneously constrained and inspired. The world of music offers a parallel journey, where compositions echo the harmony and dissonance of Soviet life. Envision grand concert halls, their chandeliers twinkling like stars as audiences gather under the spell of renowned composers. The works of Shostakovich and Prokofiev ignite imaginations, their symphonies weaving tales that mirror the societal tensions of their time. Here, melody becomes both muse and metaphor, reflecting resilience amid the turbulence of enforced conformity. Think of the bustling energy of street performances and amateur choirs, their songs evoking folk traditions with a contemporary twist. From peasant ballads to the rousing anthems of state celebration, these songs express a collective narrative, harmonizing spirit and solidarity against the backdrop of sweeping political change. In subdued private settings, jazz emerges as another art form occupying the fringes of cultural life. Its syncopated rhythms, a language of freedom spoken in smoky bars and clandestine gatherings. Imagine musicians entrancing audiences with improvisational brilliance, their notes dancing through the air with a vitality that defies prescribed standards. Dance assumes its place as a symphonic counterpart, the Bolshoi ballet spinning a web of grace and athleticism across the stage. Each leap and pirouette embodies the sublime aesthetic ideals meticulously choreographed to reflect both national pride and universal beauty. Yet even within this artistic majesty, personal expression blooms. Dancers infuse performances with depth and emotion that resonate far beyond the structured outlines. The literary realm plays similarly with the fine line between critique and confirmation. Consider the samizdat tradition, where censored literature finds life through clandestine circulation, revolutionary ideas whispered between pages passed discreetly among friends. These contraband books carry voices that speak to the soul, defying silence with resilience embedded within their prose. Against a backdrop of censorship, cultural movements persist as beacons of resistance and integrity. The cultural avant-garde pushes boundaries with clandestine art shows, spontaneous concerts, and underground publications, each endeavor daring to stretch a vision beyond the perceived limitations. Yet, it is not solely the radical that weaves tapestry narratives. The subtle turns of phrase and imagery slip through the cracks, echoing nuance, humor, and reflection that shape a world unbridled from its constraints. As your journey through Soviet art and music deepens, the vibrant interplay between conformity and rebellion reveals itself, offering a mosaic of creativity that flourishes against the odds. Each endeavor reminds us that art, even in the shadows of oversight, has the power to carve spaces of freedom, connecting human experiences across time and place. In the quiet echoes of this artistic exploration, you sense the enduring legacy of these voices, recognition that art and music resonate where words cannot, that creativity breathes new life into the everyday. As the melodies fade and the gallery's lights dim, the vibrant soul of Soviet artistry endures, painting pictures of resilience upon the canvas of history, forever inspiring feats of imagination that remain profoundly human. You find yourself stepping into the sprawling fields of Soviet agriculture, where the landscape is dominated by vast expanses of farmland, stitched together by collective purpose and communal effort. This is the world of the Kolkhoz, or collective farm, and the Sovkhoz, the state-run farm, pillars of Soviet agricultural policy that served as the backbone of the Union's quest for self-sufficiency. Imagine endless rows of wheat swaying gently in the breeze, their golden hues painting the horizon against a backdrop of distant machinery humming steadily. Here, the air is thick with earthy scents of soil and growth, interwoven with the distinct aroma of diesel fuel lingering around the combined harvesters. This is a place where the rhythm of the seasons dictates the tempo of life, shaping the hopes and challenges of the communities bound by the land. In the Kolkhoz, the farmers work as part of a collective effort, sharing resources and labor under a system designed to champion equality and communal ownership. You can almost hear the camaraderie in their voices as they exchange stories and laughter over long days in the fields, bound by shared experiences and the unity born of collective responsibility. The Kolkhoz is not merely a connective network of lands, but a stronghold of relationships forged amidst the toil of hard work and shared triumph. The Sovkhoz, by contrast, operates as a state-owned enterprise, where the efficiency of centralized planning meets agricultural output. Here, the objectives are closely aligned with state goals, each harvest carefully scheduled under the watchful gaze of government supervision. These ventures are emblematic of the state's vizhuna, systematic and industrialized form of farming that reflects the quest for progress and modernization. Historians still debate whether collectivization resulted in increased productivity or if it constrained agricultural innovation. The conversation continues as you wander through this landscape, sensing the unique interplay of achievement and adversity woven into the fabric of Soviet agriculture. Amidst the structured efforts to cultivate and harvest, you notice the enduring spirit of adaptability in farmers who embrace traditional methods alongside modern techniques, crafting a fusion of old and new that ensures the land's bounty. This balance is evident in the way hands deftly navigate both the worn handles of scythes and the buttons of complex machinery, testament to resilience found at the nexus of evolution and necessity. The narrative of Soviet agriculture isn't solely one of fields and output. It encompasses the communities that thrive within its embrace. Festivals mark the time of harvest, celebrations echoing with folk songs and dances beneath skies that shift from azure to twilight. You feel the heat of the sun on your face as you imagine tables laden with the fruits of labor-freshly harvested produce, transformed into feasts, shared under starlit canopies, a reward for the year's efforts. Picture 2, the collective challenge of adversity, as farmers grapple with the unpredictability of weather, pestilence, and production quotas set from afar. Consider the improvisation and perseverance that emerge as villagers rally to outsmart these obstacles, pooling knowledge and resources with tenacity that transcends the trials of uncertainty. The image brings to mind the laughter interspaced with tired sighs, the unwavering belief in the potential of better seasons ahead, painting a portrait of enduring hope. In this agricultural tapestry, you cannot ignore the role of science and education as vital components in driving innovation. Agricultural institutes and experimental stations serve as crucibles for developing new strains of crops or more effective farming techniques. Imagine scientists meticulously documenting their findings, schoolchildren visiting these sites, gaining hands-on experience that sparks a lifelong reverence for the land. Even in the smallest details, the essence of Soviet agriculture reverberates through simplicity transmuted by human spirit. Consider the flourishing vegetable gardens lining village homes, the rich soils brimming with potatoes, beets, and cabbages, honoring family traditions while symbolizing a deep connection to the earth. With your journey leading through these sunlit fields and echoing barns, the landscape of Soviet agriculture unfolds as a tale marked by resilience, cooperation, and a pursuit of progress that challenges human endurance. Each sowing, each harvest, epitomizes an enduring legacy of expansion, echoed across the vast expanses of countryside story, painted in green swells and golden sheaves, embraced by the steadfast toil of those who till and tend. Finally, as you step back from this vibrant world, the whispers of past seasons swell around you, inviting contemplation of this dynamic system's singular contribution to the Soviet landscape. The journey through Soviet agriculture invites pauses and reflections, an odyssey wrapped in the endurance of community that weaves vast fields and collective dreams into a harvest of cultural vitality that feeds the soul long after the last sheaf has been gathered. As you find yourself looking up at the vast cosmos, you embark on a journey through one of the Soviet Union's most prestigious achievements, the space race, where ambition reaches for the stars. This is a realm where the scientific fervor meets national pride, encapsulating the optimism of a nation poised to explore the final frontier, all against the backdrop of global competition and ideological rivalry. Picture the profound impact of that historic moment in April 1961, when Yuri Gagarin's iconic smile electrified the world. The pioneering journey of Vostok, one marks not just the triumph of science, but symbolizes mankind's audacious spirit to transcend Earth's boundaries, a testimony to Soviet ingenuity. Imagine the collective thrill reverberating through the nation as people gather around radios, hearts alight with pride for the cosmonaut heralded as a hero. The sky is no longer the limit. It becomes a canvas for dreams once thought unimaginable. As you walk through halls adorned with portraits of renowned scientists and detailed aerospace models, the details of the Soviet space program's fervent achievements unfold. Amidst the technical blueprints, your senses capture the palpable excitement that permeates these corridors, where engineers and experts harness metal and imagination in unprecedented ways, a marriage of mathematics with vision that propels ambitions skyward. Consider the innovative spirit woven into the warp and weft of Soviet technology. The lunar missions explore the moon's mysteries, while unmanned spacecraft venture further into the unknown, laying the groundwork for future exploration. With each launch, the Soviet Union's narrative expands, reaching a crescendo that inspires the next generation of space enthusiasts, a chorus of aspirations fueled by the thrill of scientific discovery. Historians still argue whether the Soviet Union's pioneering achievements were driven purely by the pursuit of knowledge or as a demonstration of ideological dominance over the West. This debate mirrors the duality felt across the USSR dance between scientific exploration and political maneuvering, both elements intertwined like constellations woven into the night. The tale of Soviet space exploration isn't limited to celestial achievements. It's deeply rooted in the echo of voices from shared experiences. Imagine urban landscapes where children craft miniature rockets from household materials, embarking on imaginary missions while echoing the dreams of cosmonauts. Rocket models in classrooms stand as beacons, capturing awe and igniting imagination, a cosmic blend of hope and practicality, shaping future engineers and explorers. These aspirations are complemented by the formation of cosmonaut training programs, rigorous paths where courage, intellect, and adaptable spirits converge in honing astronauts for future odysseys. Each candidate embodies the synthesis of human potential and scientific commitment, the rigorous programs constructing not just heroes, but symbols of an unyielding belief in progress. In the background of stellar advances, the world of Soviet space propaganda captures dual narratives, portrayed through films, postage stamps, and children's books. Enthusiastic illustrations enthrall its audience, weaving tales of spacefaring adventures that stretch boundaries, transforming reality into a thrilling narrative dressed in opportunity. These artistic fables present cosmic journeys as an emblem of unity and achievement, kindling the flames of inspiration for all of Soviet society. Amidst the monumental achievements, moments of solemnity flicker like starlight within this cosmic voyage. The inevitability of setbacks and challenges casts shadows across the USSR's aspirational glow, acknowledging the risks inherent in human endeavors that stretch beyond known limits. Notwithstanding these challenges, the pioneers of space exploration remain undeterred, embodying the unwavering spirit to learn from each tribulation resilience, marking an indelible quality within both technology and hearts. And so, as you stand amidst these narratives, the glimmers of Soviet space exploration reveal tales not only of scientific conquest, but also of dreams that transcend earthly ties. Here, within the vast cradle of engineering, aspirations, and the yearning to see beyond form, a constellation of stories, each star a cornerstone in the cosmos, linking past, present, and future. As you reflect on the ambitions aimed at the stars, These echoes of the Soviet space race prompt introspection about humanity's ceaseless quest for understanding, about reaching beyond division to grasp a shared dream of discovery, forging unity amidst rivalry. The cosmic adventure becomes more than a chronicle of rockets and landings. It transforms into a profound reminder of the enduring spirit driving our pursuit of the universe's infinite mysteries. In the quietude of your imagination, every twinkle enveloped by the infinite becomes a reminder, a pole star, guiding the limitless aspirations embedded within humanity's cosmic narrative, urging us onward toward ever-distant horizons sketched against the boundless expanse of space. The sun casts a long shadow as you step into the solemn corridors guarded by an austere facade, marking the entrance into the intricate universe of the Soviet legal system. This is a world where the tenets of law intertwine seamlessly with the tapestry of state control, a balancing act of justice that serves the greater ideology while navigating the murky waters of individual rights and state interests. Imagine the imposing courtroom, its wood-paneled walls echoing the whispers of countless judgments past. The faint scent of aged paper and polished wood mixes with anticipation, creating an atmosphere heavy with expectation. As judges don their robes, guided by the letter of law intertwined with the spirit of socialism, every gavel's fall reverberates with authority beyond just the legal confines. It echoes the ethos of a system designed to serve the collective first. In this environment, the concept of law manifests through the meticulous structures of Soviet legal doctrine, deeply rooted in Marxist-Leninist ideology. The aspiration here is clear. Law is not merely a regulatory framework, but a tool for furthering the state's ideological objectives, a mechanism to nurture societal adherence to socialist principles. The proceedings emphasize rehabilitation over punishment, aiming to cure deviations from societal norms through corrective actions. Yet, one cannot ignore the duality inherent in the Soviet judicial system. While justice is framed as a vehicle for ideological conformity, it can sometimes transform into an instrument of paradox, safeguarding the collective, while occasionally straying into the realm of suppressing dissent. The dual nature of legal enforcement often sparks intense scholarly debate, with historians questioning whether the system was inherently just or if it masked a deeper sin of coercive politics. As you wander deeper into the legal labyrinth, you encounter featureless halls lined with icons of both celebrated legal victories and contentious historical trials. Here, the boundaries blur, recalling the infamous show trials that stained the Soviet legal legacy trials where guilt was often predetermined, serving as public spectacles to reinforce the infallibility of state narratives. These trials challenge the balance between law as a protector and law as a tool of political theatre. Despite the complexities, the everyday administration of law in Soviet society paints a tapestry not solely woven from state mandates, but also individual stories of nuance and moral negotiation. Picture a mother fighting for housing allocation, or a farmer petitioning land disputes. The sagas, revealing an intricate dance between personal agency and bureaucratic decree, unveiling a system that inspires both frustration and perseverance in equal measure. In this complex environment, the legal professionals themselves become instruments of state order, yet also remain guardians of ethical principles. These attorneys, judges, and legal scholars occupy a realm where their expertise can both defend and challenge, illustrating their roles within a landscape defined by change, marked by their dedication to justice, advocated through the lenses of Soviet ideology. One cannot overlook the world of Soviet legal education, where students meet the chiseled face of law through rigorous training, preparing to engage within a system both vast and demanding. Imagine law schools with echoing lecture halls, filled with young minds balancing the weight of legal philosophies with pragmatic applications, preparing them to navigate the spectrum of justice spread across nationwide courts. Through these corridors of academia, future legal minds sculpt their legacy as testaments to their resolve in shadowed landscapes. Moreover, legal aid offices color the societal canvassa network, extending assistance to citizens navigating the webs of matrimonial or industrial disputes, endeavoring to impart fairness with humanity amidst bureaucratic labyrinths. The clang of typewriters and the rustle of papers within their communal spaces orchestrate efforts that prioritize accessible guidance, underscoring the pivotal role of community voice in the orchestrated chorus of state legislation. Through case files, courtrooms, seminars, and hallways bustling with the footfalls of jurisprudence, your journey through the Soviet legal system reveals a dynamic story and narrative, stretching across regulation and rebellion, order and flux. Despite its rigid ideals, those who wander its paths uncover truths drawn in shades more profound than doctrine, uncovering the subtle beauty in perseverance and interpretation born from a history still unfolding. As you leave the shadowed halls of Soviet law, the resonant reflections of its commitments linger, a poignant reminder of the profound interplay between law and life, structure and spirit, defining an era where ideals enshrined in complexity paint a landscape as intricate as it is intriguing. The enduring echoes of justice pursued amid a fervor for societal order transcend discipline, offering a timeless meditation on humanity's enduring quest for fairness, balance, and aspiration beyond mere administration. You find yourself drawn into the vibrant world of Soviet sports, where the pursuit of athletic excellence is viewed as a symbol of national pride and a testament to the human spirit's resilience. Here, sports serve as both a stage for competition and a showcase for the prowess of a system seeking to establish its superiority on the global stage. Imagine the roar of the crowd as it rises in a crescendo of anticipation, filling the air with energy, becoming almost tangible. The smell of freshly cut grass from the stadium fields mingles with the distant aroma of popcorn and the rhythmic chant that echoes through the concrete structures. This is where Soviet athletes, honed through rigorous training regimens, demonstrate their skills, embodying the ideals of dedication, discipline, and unity. In this arena, physical prowess is celebrated not just for individual glory, but as a collective triumph reflecting the strength of an entire nation. The Soviet Union places immense importance on sports as a means of promoting socialist values, encouraging physical well-being alongside ideological devotion. Athletes become cultural ambassadors, representing more than just personal achievement. They are symbols of the system's success and efficacy. Consider the rigorous training facilities scattered across the vast Soviet landscape, where young talent is nurtured from an early age. Picture the camaraderie of youth athletes honing their skills on frosty mornings under the watchful eyes of seasoned coaches. These sports academies become crucibles for excellence, producing Olympians who compete on the world stage, their feats leaving indelible marks in the annals of sports history. Historians still argue whether the Soviet focus on sports was primarily a tool for propaganda or a genuine drive to foster nationwide health and unity. This duality exposes a complex narrative where sports serve both as a means of statecraft and a genuine outlet for human potential and aspiration. The pinnacle of Soviet athletic achievement is, of course, the Olympics. Imagine the thrill of the opening ceremony, a dazzling display of unity and color as athletes parade with heads held high, each step symbolizing not just personal excellence, but the hard work of a collective community. Soviet athletes excel in a wide range of sports, from gymnastics and ice hockey to weightlifting and track and field, their successes bolstered by advanced training techniques and state-sponsored support. The discipline of the Soviet gymnast on the balance beam, the remarkable speed of runners on the track, and the strategic plays of the hockey team mesmerize audiences worldwide. Each victory is a cause for widespread celebration. Each medal won an affirmation of the national spirit and endpoint in a journey that began on the dusty training fields far from the bright lights of worldwide recognition. Beyond the grandeur of international competitions, sports play a vital role in the everyday lives of Soviet citizens. The local fields, gymnasiums, and outdoor ice rinks hum with activity, as both young and old engage in sports for recreation and personal fulfillment. Day by day, these community spaces foster bonds, spread joy, and forge a sense of unity through the simple act of play, demonstrating that participation itself is a pathway to well-being and community cohesion. In schools across the Union, children participate in rigorous physical education programs, instilling lifelong values of health and teamwork. Imagine classrooms erupting into bursts of energy as students perform exercises to the beat of infectious music, a melody that instills both rhythm and discipline. charting stories not just of fitness, but of camaraderie and growth, under the gentle urging of coaches who shepherd the future with patience and belief. Sports also offer a theatrical space where individual achievements are celebrated within sanctioned frameworks. Picture a summer soccer match where friends illuminate fields with laughter and applause as goals are scored with triumphant bluster erasures in hierarchy against the predictable toss of ideology, softens rigidity, grant mirth, and thrust exceeding objectives beyond regimes. The narrative of Soviet sports is not without its embellishments and challenges, from the orchestration of athletic programs to the candid confessions exchanged amid shiny gymnasium corridors. This nuanced journey reflects both sweat and resolve, overcoming training injuries or contending with disqualification, graceful homage to the enduring will to pursue dreams. In this intricate realm, where sports intertwine aspiration and discipline, you uncover stories of perseverance, unity, and ambition that reflect the broad tapestry of Soviet life. The dynamic world of Soviet athletics offers a moving portrait of dedication and narrative forged from the crucible of extraordinary determination, touching every soul that championed leaps of faith breaching boundaries and norms. As the stadium lights dim and the echoes of cheering crowds fade, the indomitable spirit of Soviet athletes catalyzes reflection on the human quest for achievement against the tenacity that itself becomes arte. Timeless pursuit of excellence, marked by scores, not captured merely in numbers, but archived, in an exuberance that lives far beyond official records. This celebration of physical accomplishment is rooted in humanity's universal yearning for exploration, resilience, and the joy of play, transcending borders and ideologies to unite us in our most authentic pursuit of triumph and joy. Stepping through the corridors of Soviet intellectual pursuit, you find yourself enveloped in an atmosphere where scientific advancements thrive amidst state-imposed ideological constraints, to testament to the complex relationship between innovation and doctrine in the USSR. Here, the realm of science becomes a landscape both expansive and paradoxically confined, where groundbreaking discoveries arise from the interplay of aspiration and regulation. Imagine the hallowed halls of research institutes, brimming with the accumulated wisdom of scientists who labor tirelessly to push the limits of knowledge. In laboratories awash with the sharp tang of disinfectants and the quiet hum of machinery, researchers immerse themselves in experiments that expand the boundaries of human understanding. These scientific endeavors stand as monuments to the cerebral pursuits approved by the state, promising to elevate the stature of Soviet progress on the global stage. Within this steely pursuit of knowledge, a myriad of stories unfolds each, embodying a fusion of creativity, intellect, and resourcefulness driven by curiosity and an unwavering commitment to scientific truth. The Soviet Union pours immense resources into select fields: cosmos exploration, nuclear physics, and biotechnology, prioritizing projects that mirror the state's vision of progress and supremacy. Historians still debate whether the stringent control exerted over scientific exploration fostered deep innovation or whether it constrained the inherent creativity vital for true discovery. These pursuits dance on the fine line between advancement and adherence, shaping a legacy etched with both triumphs and tribulations. Amidst the accolades, some disciplines thrive in unexpected ways under the radar of bureaucratic scrutiny. Envision a biologist quietly nurturing genetic research amidst political neglecta, covert dance of persistence, whirling silently against an ideological backdrop, hesitant to embrace new paradigms. These scientists carry the torch of curiosity, advancing knowledge through dedication unfettered by conventional rhetoric. Institutional laboratories are but one component of the scientific narrative. Universities and academies pulse with intellectual fervor, cultivating generations of scholars primed for exploration. Picture students engaged in rigorous debate, their discussions echoing through corridors lined with the portraits of pioneering researchers. These are the crucibles of innovation where young minds stretch hypotheses toward illuminating discoveries. Symbiotic odyssey of learning and questioning, framed within structured confines. The controlled climate of inquiry is not without its humor. Recall tales of ingenious impertinence researchers creating playful engineering marvels, using convoluted methods in response to resource scarcity, or speculative theories pitched earnestly, showing innovation's quirky nature embraced even within regimented discipline. An unexpected camaraderie thrives here, nourished by shared experiences and a shared dedication to unraveling mysteries hidden within ordered chaos. As science unfolds within imagined parameters, the collective brilliance is turned towards solving practical issues. Picture the development of vaccines and medical breakthroughs that alleviate public health concerns, underscoring the pivotal role of science in enhancing quality of lives, harmonious parallel revealing triumphs nestled within ideological constraints. In this paradox of regulated freedom lies the conundrum of creative adaptatione, narrative that blurs lines between sanctioned achievement and whispered rebellion. Perhaps no discipline navigates this balance so well as psychology or philosophy, fields where inquiry dips toes into philosophical streams, enlivening dialectical spaces with interchange and hope for growth-conscious resistance, sometimes intermittently forging paths unwritten. Even amid praiseworthy results, a shadow looms. Political influence remains ever present, restricting fields that challenge orthodoxy while promoting research into realms supporting state ambitions. Some scholars find themselves walking precarious paths through ideological minefields, pursuing lines of thought that question the existing order or offering critiques of societal constructs while artfully dodging repercussions. Your exploration within Soviet scientific landscapes reveals a compelling narrative stitched from innovation and ideology, framing progress and passion with admirable resilience despite imposed barriers. Every discovery, no matter how small, speaks for voices resonating with aspirations to see beyond prescribed horizons, a timeless testament to the human spirit, forever daring to question. As you reflect on this intricate realm, the echoes of Soviet science illuminate a path paved with intellect and possibility. The quest to expand our understanding endures, bridging ideologies and embodying the optimism of collective endeavor, underscoring our intrinsic desire to unveil the mysteries of nature, fueled by shared dreams and unfathomable potential. Bridging ambitions fueled by empirical curiosity, regardless of boundaries past or future, is an inquiry perpetual, reaffirming that exploration is woven into our very DNA, a story shared beyond equations and evidence, reaching far beyond the constraints of time. You find yourself stepping into a new arena, where Soviet diplomats and leaders skillfully navigate the complex board of geopolitical strategy. This is a world where ideology meets diplomacy, and the Soviet Union's relationship with the rest of the world unfolds as a delicate dancer game of chess, played on the international stage, each move scrutinized, strategized, and executed with precision. Imagine the echoes of history resonating through the grand halls of the Kremlin, where negotiations and treaties carve the contours of global alliances and rivalries. The air hums with the murmured discussions of ambassadors and foreign ministers as they engage in both open dialogues and closed-door meetings, working to project Soviet influence while securing national interests amid the intricate web of global politics. At the heart of the Soviet Union's foreign relations lies the ambition to promote its ideological narrative. Diplomats and envoys champion socialism as a model for global governance, extending fraternal support to movements aligned with Marxist-Leninist ideals. Yet, within this doctrine-driven diplomacy, you discern a nuanced approach that balances hard power with soft persuasion. Historians still argue whether the USSR's foreign policy was predominantly a tool of expansionism or a calculated effort to safeguard its interests within a competitive landscape. Whichever side of the debate one may lean, it is clear that Soviet diplomacy engages both ideological zeal and astute pragmatism. One of the most defining aspects of Soviet foreign policy is the Cold War's pervasive influenza period, marked by intense rivalry with the United States. Imagine the high-stakes summits between superpowers, where negotiations become tests of composure and cunning. Each side engages in a strategic chess match, leveraging alliances, nuclear arsenals, and technological prowess in the quest to sway the balance of global power. Beyond these grand theaters of rivalry, the Soviet Union casts its diplomatic net wide, establishing relationships with nations across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. You can almost hear the murmur of voices blending myriad languages as Soviet representatives negotiate trade agreements, military aid, and cultural exchanges designed to showcase the USSR's strengths and solidify alliances. Consider the role of cultural diplomacy. Ballet tours, film festivals, and literary exchanges serve as ambassadors unto themselves, softening the sharp edges of political discourse by showcasing the richness of Soviet culture. Through these channels, the Soviet identity is not merely propagated, but celebrated, bolstering support and fostering goodwill across diverse borders. The narrative of Soviet diplomacy isn't confined to statecraft alone, but extends into the realm of individual narratives. Visualize the diplomats themselves, navigating vast distances between Moscow and far-flung capitals, carrying the burden of expectation alongside their diplomatic satchels. They become storytellers and strategists, masters of rhetoric and reading between the lines, crafting narratives that allow them to bridge ideological divides. While diplomacy often strives for cooperation, tension and conflict simmer in the backdrop, teasing the limits of negotiation and threatening veils of tension. Think of Cuban missile crises or proxy wars spotlighting ideological contest. Countries caught between these dynamics often represent a cautionary tale, tethered at crossroads where ideologies risk escalating to global confrontation. Against this backdrop of geopolitics stand quiet stories of individuals who carve meaningful dialogue from discord. Diplomatic families call foreign capitals home, forging friendships amid cultural exchanges that defy the overarching narratives of rivalry. The warmth of shared meals or the exchange of languages becomes acts of peace and resilience among contrasting histories. The multifaceted world of Soviet foreign relations illuminates beyond the headlines, exposing a delicate interplay between ideology and pragmatism, story enriched with anecdotes of multilateral negotiations and first-hand insights into diplomacy's human element. It embodies resilience in sculpting strategies bound by realpolitik, while observing convictions echoing from Moscow's walls. As you reflect upon this tapestry of global interactions, the many voices of Soviet diplomacy evoke a legacy punctuated by daring and influence, revealing a nuanced understanding of how ideology and intrigue intertwine. It stands as a testament to humanity's unrelenting quest for reconciliation, amidst the challenges inherent to the complex partnerships defining our shared geopolitical landscape. In the twilight of your exploration, this tale of Soviet foreign relations leaves an indelible imprint, narrating layers of negotiation, defiance, and cooperation resonating through internal conversations and corridors of power. Here, amid the spirited exchange and measured strategy, resides a constant reminder that diplomacy's essence, shaped by ambition and tempered by understanding, remains a vital fixture on the chronicles of history's grand stage, reaching towards futures imagined beyond the realm of political abstraction. You find yourself standing at the precipice of a monumental historical shift, witnessing the once unthinkable unraveling of the Soviet Union as it begins to crumble under the immense weight of its own contradictions. This is a world marked by uncertainty and upheaval, where the tectonic plates of history gradually shift, forever altering the landscape of Eastern Europe and Central Asia. Picture the palpable tension in the air, the quiet murmurs that ripple through crowded communal apartments and city squares as news of reform and resistance spreads. The atmosphere is charged with a mixture of hope and apprehension as citizens grapple with the complexities of a system on the brink of dissolution, echoing with the footsteps of change. The Soviet Union, an entity once regarded as monolithic and enduring, finds itself unraveling a process accelerated by a myriad of internal and external factors. Economically, stagnation looms like a shadow, marked by shortages, lack of innovation, and an ever-increasing disconnect between central planning and the needs of the populace. The promise of prosperity, long touted by the state, grows hollow as the realities of inefficiency and corruption catch up to the expansive machine. Political dissent grows bolder, fueled by newfound access to information and the loosening of press restrictions under glasnost. Imagine the hum of typewriters clattering in rooms where newspapers and pamphlets spread ideas once considered taboo, the air alive with clandestine conversations and public demonstrations that challenge the status quo. The open channels of communication stoke fires of activism, as more voices demand change and accountability. Historians still argue whether the collapse was inevitable or the result of failed policies and unyielding resistance from reformists within the system. The economic reforms of perestroika, intended to revitalize the economy, instead expose a fissure within the system, leading to further economic turmoil and discontent. The very fabric that once held the Union together starts to fray, stretching across republics seeking greater autonomy and self-determination. Nationalism reawakens in Baltic states, Central Asian republics, and Eastern Europe, each vibrant expression of cultural identity, signifying a step towards independence. Imagine the spirited debates and gatherings, where ancient languages and traditions are revived as markers of personal and collective histories long overshadowed by Soviet ideology. These movements underscore a growing resolve to carve out distinct national futures, free from the political and cultural impositions of Moscow. As the cohesion of the Union deteriorates, the corridors of power echo with the waning authority of leaders attempting to reconcile anachronistic policies with the demands for reform. Mikhail Gorbachev, the last Soviet leader, stands as a figure caught in the swirling tide. His attempts at reform and democratization aim to soften state control, yet inadvertently accelerate devolution, shining light on decades-long unresolved tensions. The transformation plays out against a backdrop of geopolitical realignments. The Cold War thaw signals a shift in global power dynamics, with the Soviet Union's diminishing influence mirrored by the rise of Western-leaning democracies throughout Eastern Europe. You can almost see embassies bustling with activity as diplomats negotiate new alliances or renew old partnerships amid an uncertain future. In the streets, where once certainty reigned, the spirit of change is both empowering and disarming. Picture ordinary citizens navigating their everyday lives, their resilience honed against the backdrop of profound transformation. Amidst laughter and anxiety, they forge a new identity, one shaped by the collapses and awakenings of an empire, echoing the hope for a future untethered from past constraints. Candid photos capture this reality, each snapshot a testament to the human capacity to adapt and persevere amidst even the starkest of transitions. Amid the complexities, the decline of the Soviet Union offers a rich tapestry of narrative estuaries of adaptation, resistance, and aspiration that challenge dominant narratives, wherein rigid ideology once dictated possibilities. This legacy remains a collective story defined by the longing for autonomy and self-expression, where creativity blooms beyond confines, writing chapters upon an unfinished history. As the enormity of the era's events settles over you, reflecting on this historic upheaval, a cascade that reshapes nations, policies, and identities, you find that the collapse of the Soviet Union stands as not only an end, but an opening, a world reborn from the shambles of the past, reaching toward new beginnings with resilience and humor as its guiding stars. Here, even as one realm ends, you glimpse another's inception, retelling of potential, born out of narratives untangled, leaving space for new chapters to unfold under skies forever altered. As the dust of history settles over the fractured remnants of the once formidable Soviet Union, you journey into the realm of post-Soviet transitions, a landscape marked by transformation, adaptation, and the enduring echoes of a past that continues to shape the present. This is a world where nations, newly sovereign and eager for change, grapple with newfound independence while navigating the legacies left in the wake of a fallen superpower. Imagine the mosaic of republics embarking on their unique paths towards self-determination, each nation colored by distinct histories, cultures, and aspirations. The euphoria of independence mingles with the uncertainty of uncharted territory as governments and citizens reckon with the challenges of building democracies, economies, and national identities from the remnants of Soviet infrastructure. The air is ripe with both ambition and anxiety, as communities strive to forge a future untethered from the shadow of their collective past. In Russia, the largest of the successor states, the transition is particularly tumultuous. The sweeping reforms of the early 1990s, intended to establish a market economy and democratic governance, fall prey to chaos and controversy. Picture bustling markets and newly privatized enterprises, juxtaposed with scenes of hardship as hyperinflation and unemployment take their toll, a vivid contrast to the orderly, if inefficient, controls of planned economy days. Historians still argue about the rapidity and execution of these reforms, whether they unleashed necessary freedoms or merely paved the way for opportunism and inequality. Amid the economic tumult, oligarchs emerge, wielding newfound wealth and influence in an environment rife with deregulation. Society teeters on the brink between hope and disillusionment, reflecting a nation reeling from both the promise and pitfalls of post-Soviet transformation. Beyond economics, the political landscape is fraught with trials as nascent democracies navigate the complexities of governance. Electoral systems are tested, constitutions crafted or revised, and citizens encouraged to participate in democratic processes. Profound departure from the centralized control of previous decades. Imagine legislative chambers humming with debate, the air charged with the weight of decisions that shape the future course of nations. For many, the transition serves as a catalyst for cultural revival. Across the former republics, previously suppressed languages, traditions, and religions experience a renaissance, embraced as markers of identity and heritage. Picture the jubilant celebrations of cultural festivals, the air filled with the melodies of traditional music and the vibrant colors of national costumesa, tapestry of creativity woven with threads of revived heritage. In regions like the Baltics, the Caucasus, and Central Asia, the path towards self-assertion is pursued with fervor. Nations navigate complex geopolitics, balancing their relationships with Russia, the West, and emerging global powers. This diplomatic dance reflects a delicate equilibrium as former Soviet satellites strive to affirm their sovereignty while fostering new alliances and economic partnerships. The juxtaposition of steadfast traditions with aspirations for modernity shapes a nuanced identity. Yet, alongside this sense of renewal, the specters of ethnic tension and conflict lurk. In places like the Balkans and the Caucasus, calls for autonomy sometimes climax in strife, tragically underscoring the volatile transformations of a region wrestling with its newfound independence. The international community watches closely, offering both aid and intervention, a reflection of global interconnectedness learned through the harsh lessons of transition states. At the heart of these narratives are the everyday lives of individuals navigating complex realities. Picture families adapting to rapid changes, children growing up in a world of open possibilities, adults reminiscing about the certainties of the past while embracing the opportunities of the present. The ordinary and extraordinary intermingle, shaping personal stories of resilience and innovation amid a changing world. As you explore this tapestry of post-Soviet experiences, it becomes clear that the transitions are not merely about political systems or economic policies. Rather, they encompass the reshaping of societal norms, values, and aspirations, a profound human story that offers both challenges and opportunities, resonating far beyond the borders of the former Soviet Union. Reflecting upon this era of transformation, you recognize the multifaceted nature of the post-Soviet journey, a complex interplay of progress and nostalgia, of growth and reflection. Despite the challenges, the enduring spirit of these nations and their people, colored by struggle and triumph, transition, and tradition, offers a testament to the resilience and adaptability intrinsic to the human experience. As you step away from the woven narratives of history brought to life by these voices, the story of post-Soviet transformation stands as both an end and a beginning, a continuing exploration of identity, resilience, and purpose in an interconnected world perpetually sculpted by the unfurling arc of history, creating pathways to futures not yet imagined, where echoes of past and visions of change coalesce into new chapters of ongoing tales. The journey through the echoes of the Soviet past brings you to the present, where the lingering whispers of history continue to influence and shape the contemporary landscape. This is a world where the complex legacy of the Soviet Union casts long shadows, touching every facet of life in nations both near and far. Even as these countries navigate the challenges and opportunities of modernity, the imprint of Soviet influence remains an indelible part of their cultural and historical identity. Imagine walking through bustling cities that balance the past and the present, where Soviet-era architecture towers alongside sleek new developments. These relics of a bygone era evoke memories of a transformed world, and serve as poignant reminders of tumultuous history. The concrete facades of these buildings stand as stories etched in stone each, one a silent witness to the changing tide of governance, aspiration, and social change. In Russia, traces of the Soviet legacy are woven throughout daily life, echoing in the language, customs, and communal memories of its citizens. The nostalgia for certain aspects of the Soviet past, job security, predictability, and social welfare, coexists with the appreciation for new freedoms and opportunities that modern Russia provides. It's a nuanced perspective, where reflections on the past are colored by both warmth and complexity, framed by the intricate interplay of memory and reality. Historians still debate the weight of the Soviet influence on contemporary society, whether it hampers progress through entangled bureaucracy and unyielding nationalism, or whether it provides a foundation upon which new dreams can be built. The answers remain as varied as the individuals who ponder them, each narrative enriched by personal experiences and aspirations. Beyond Russia, in the other former Soviet republics, the legacy manifests in diverse ways. In the Baltic states, efforts to distance politically and culturally from their Soviet past are balanced by the preservation of certain inherited structures. In the Caucasus and Central Asia, one can observe a blend of old Soviet influences, seamlessly merged with vibrant local traditions and endeavors toward regional autonomy and distinct identification, expression of cultures continuously evolving against a backdrop of historical continuity. While history lingers palpably in such physical and cultural markers, its less visible impact leaves traces in the psyche of generations, where the echoes of Soviet life influence identity and purpose. This legacy shapes how communities approach cooperation, governance, and that quintessential Soviet concept of resilience. Within this complex environment, the arts continue to serve as a vital bridge between past and present. Contemporary artists, musicians, and writers draw inspiration from Soviet archives, reimagining historical motifs through modern lenses. By revisiting the past creatively, they craft works that question, celebrate, and critique, often employing humor and irony that reflect both the absurdity and endurance of the era's contradictions. And then there are the everyday moments, gentle in their familiarity and profound in their ordinariness, where the Soviet past meets the present. Grandmothers teach Soviet-era recipes to eager grandchildren, turning everyday meals into remembered feasts. Public squares fill with spirited debate and lively conversation, echoing the corridors of past discourse, but infused now with open dialogues, unencumbered by past constraints. As you pause to drink in this confluence of past and present, the story of the Soviet legacy becomes one both of caution and possibility, a vivid reminder of history's reach across time, etched into the living fabric of each nation's ongoing narrative. These echoes create a lively dialogue between memory and pursuit, creating narratives that reveal the enduring strength of hope and the courage to imagine futures untethered by history's grip. Let's slow our tempo for a moment, letting the echoes settle as we fade gently toward reflection. May this journey through time and memory, these cross-temporal conversations between the past and future, light the way toward insights etched in understanding. With each reverberating whisper threaded into the patterns of today's stories, they remind us that history, with its layered nuances, is not merely a collection of past events, but a living, breathing guide to where we seek meaning and forge new beginnings. May the echoes of the past continue to inspire and guide, weaving through the present and enriching the ever-unfolding story to come. Histories acknowledge and embrace our myriad aspirations and challenges, leaving open pages for us to write anew. Rest easy now, letting the stories and sensations wash over you like the soothing ebb of time's gentle flow. Sweet dreams.